Yo.
What up? What up?
Fuck, this might be the most depressing way to start the podcast ever. We should have just called it quits, bro. We got our night of drinking and we should have just stopped.
Listen, bro. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. I mean, yo. So we just got, hold on. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to start it this way. To the Compliment Podcast. He is Swan and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit on with the drink of the day.
Man, we doing we going back to the old fashions. I don't care what you guys say. And but this week we got Old Elk, an amazing bourbon.
Oh my god!
It's like the second time we did the one episode where we did two different bourbons.
Yes.
It's so good, man. And then we did a little something different this week though. We did muddle an orange wedge, a maraschino cherry, a Luxardo cherry actually.
Get that right.
An orange.
It is not the really bright red ones.
No.
At the grocery store.
So Luxardo cherry, an orange wedge with about half an ounce of simple syrup. Muddle that. Add your ice. Add the 2 ounces of the bourbon. I did orange bitters and smoked cherry bitters. Stir that up really, really, really well. Get it nice and chilled. Pour it in a rocks glass with a big ball of ice, and then we garnished with rosemary from the Garden of Sean and cherry and a orange peel, and it tastes phenomenal. It smells amazing. It's so good. Yeah, I feel like you can make old fashioned 7,500 ways. They all slap, man.
All right, man. Let's get right into this, man. It is Thursday morning.
Yeah,
is it
Thursday morning. It's 12:12 Thursday morning,
man. And we just witnessed the Yankee meltdown.
Oh my God,
bro. Or as the New York, was it the New York Post, I think, just put out there. What the hell was
Chokes on us?
The choke's on us.
Oh.
Yeah. Crazy. So for those of you who are baseball fans or sports fans in general, if you did not watch it, you probably didn't miss much. But this was like that in the beginning when I started, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. It was like they were, through the first few innings, they were up 5-0. They had all of the momentum, and they literally they gave up 5 unearned runs in what was it, the fifth inning?
In the fifth inning, on the most
crazy
fundamental little league baseball plays.
Yeah,
I've on a routine pop fly shallow to Aaron Judge.
Yep.
On a bad throw, which again the throw's bad. But catchable, so 2 errors there because right. I would give one there to Volpe and Jazz Chisholm.
Yep.
Because you got to make that catch as a big leaguer. Garrett Cole not covering first base. The balk that led to the run that gave them the lead.
Right.
Just wow, man. I'm in shock. I just never see. There was plays in there where little leaguers, they're just so fundamentally you just don't expect that from the big league player. I can't remember the last time I saw that many errors in an inning in a baseball game in a high stakes situation, and then just plays where you just check out. Like the Garrett Cole to have those 2 errors. By the way, the Aaron Judge and the Volpe throw happened. Garrett Cole gets 2 strikeouts, then he gets a ground ball that he needs that basically ends the inning at 5-0 still. And he just doesn't cover first base on a dribbler to the first baseman. And if he covers that, inning's over.
It's over.
Nothing. And they win that game.
Oh, yeah.
And because they got 2 earned runs after that. And they just, momentum doesn't shift. Everything about that. Maybe they don't even score 2. Like, who knows? Whatever.
Correct.
But it's just hard to not fathom that they don't win that game if that inning doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And you beat yourself in that. I mean, kudos to the Dodgers. You're right. You up 3-0, but you're saying before we went on air, no team or how many teams have even forced a game 6 when they were down 3-0?
I think before this series, so before the Yankees being down 3-0, right, or 0-3, there were 24. It's happened 24 times, and 21 times. The team that was up 3-0 went on to sweep.
Wow. Yeah, so you would have forced the game 6, which I would argue game 6 back in LA, the pressure shifts
Yeah, of course.
And now if you're the Dodgers, you feel a little bit differently. And who knows what happens? Again, if you're the Dodgers, statistically speaking, they probably win this anyway. But I think the Yankees, to go down 3-0, it's a choke job in itself. Like, Aaron Judge didn't show up until today.
Right.
The bottom of that lineup didn't show up till the last game. They just didn't look. They looked so overmatched the entire. Well, the first game was heartbreaking, and then I think the thing that's plagued the Yankees over the last 2 decades really is you live by that home run, you die by that home run.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't manufacture runs, you can't steal bases, you can't, like, they don't do these really small fundamental things because all they have are like just big bats, which is fun during the regular season when people aren't, where you're not facing the best pitchers in the league, for fucking 6 games in a row. It's just, and just seems to kill them every time, man. But they gave themselves a shot, and they just fucking they also just said, nah, we want to stay in New York,
man.
Go on vacation,
fucking nuts, man.
I don't even know what to say because normally I'm heartbroken when the Yankees lose. I'm livid, especially in the playoffs, like when they get eliminated. Especially in the years where I feel like they have a shot, and I felt like this team was the first team in a long time where I'm like, oh, maybe.
Yeah, and, I mean, they haven't won since, what, 09?
09, 15 years.
15 years.
Dude, I was just saying this. When the Yankees won their first World Series in 96, and they had talked about how long had it been, the drought, and they were saying that it had been so long, and they had been trash, right? And that last World Series before that was like 78 or something like that.
Yeah, 78, 79, something like that, with the Reggie Jackson team.
Yeah, so that's an 18-year drought. And to me, it was like, oh my God, that's so crazy at that time. Like 78, that's insane. And then I think about the distance between 09 and 2024, and it's only 15. It's not that far off from that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and then it makes me realize I'm old as fuck now. I'm like, man, because back then, 78 might as well have been 1950. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems so far away, man.
That's true. Not for me. Like, I remember as a kid, I remember them winning. Right, I had a big poster of
78.
Reggie. Yeah, I mean, I was like 4, right? But I remember. I don't remember watching the game. I just remember the Yankees being champions. That's all I remember.
Okay.
And I had a big poster of Reggie Jackson in my room. But my first like true recollection of them winning the World Series was in '96.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's mine. But
so it was like they were kind of trash mostly throughout the '80s. And then in the 90s when Buck Showalter took over, he kind of started bringing them up, gets fired. Joe Torre comes in, and the rest is history. But yeah, to go back to this one, man, one thing that I do want to bring up, did you see, so there's a couple things on during this series, and I forgot what game this was, but Giancarlo Stanton running from second to home. Bro, when he was running, I go, yo, run.
He was.
And they fucking throw him out, bro. And I'm like,
in 7th gear.
Dude, I was wondering, and I go, yo, when you're 6'6", like, do you experience time differently than everybody else?
Motherfuckers on Interstellar.
Yeah, like he was in the edge of the event horizon of a black hole. Fucking time was standing still for him only.
How you run like Optimus Prime? That motherfucker was so slow and so cartoony looking, bro. It was bad. It looked like, you ever see those dudes at the gym that are like too big and they can't even move, like they can't even fucking bend down to tie their shoe? That's what he looked like. It was wild. Oh.
No, but and also, on the flip side of that, man, kudos to him. But he's got like 18 homers in the postseason. Like
what? Tied
just tied, with Mickey Mantle.
Which, I mean, legend Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, and I want to say top 3 was Bernie Williams is leading. Derek Jeter, and then Mantle and Giancarlo are tied with 18.
My favorite Yankee of all time, man, Bernie Williams.
Yeah,
my favorite baseball player of all time. Yeah,
that's dope.
Dude. I picked his number in high school, and when I would make like all-star teams and stuff in Little League, I would always pick 51 after Bernie Williams.
That's dope.
Yeah. So he was my favorite player growing up.
Yeah.
He was so fun to watch. Like so I mean, obviously I like Jeter, like everybody in that era.
Of course.
But Bernie Williams was just like my favorite baseball player growing up, especially in that '96 team forward. Yeah. Bernie was the man.
That's dope. The other one on this one. So in Game 4. I know you said you were out. But Game 4, there's a scene where the Yankees get a hit, and I think it's Gleyber Torres gets a hit. It's going foul in right field, and it basically goes into the stands, but Mookie Betts jumps up, catches the ball.
Yeah.
The fucking fan, there's a fan.
He's like fighting him for the ball.
Yeah,
Right?
he fucking grabs Mookie Betts' glove and pries the shit open.
I saw the highlights when I got home. I was cracking up.
To pop the ball out. And then his boy next to him grabs Mookie Betts' other arm to try to like lift him up. And I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
They should have been grabbing Freddie Freeman. Break his wrist.
Dude. So come to find out, man, these guys, so they get escorted out. And the media catches up with them at like a local bar. So the guy's name
I would have paid money to see that on pay-per-view.
And I'm going to fuck this name up, but Austin Bianocco.
Oh, some fucking Italian guy from New York. All right.
And John Peters. So they catch up with them at like a local bar.
Okay.
And he goes off and he's like, yo, everybody around me knows, we talk about this all the time, like if the ball gets over here, like we're gonna do whatever we can to help the team. Yo, and I quote, he goes, if it's in our area, we're gonna D up.
We're gonna D up. Like he's in the game.
Like he's in the game. Dude, but not for nothing.
If it's in our corner, we're gonna Oh my God, man. That's so good.
You gotta do, and not for nothing, man.
That's
Coming in the game for down 0-3, I was loving like the energy that you saw from the fans. The fans were fucking rabid, even being down 0-3. That Yankee fan base, man, it's so good.
Dude, there is nothing, I don't care what anybody tells me, and I know I'm biased, I'm a Yankee fan, there is nothing like Yankee Stadium in October, and I will fucking die on that sword. There is nothing. I challenge you, anybody who's ever been to any sporting event, go to fucking Yankee Stadium in October, bro. It's just, there's nothing like it.
Yeah,
I promise you there's nothing like it.
And you know what's
man.
dope? And they'll fucking, they'll boo their own team. If they're not,
they don't give a fuck. Aaron Judge has been getting booed all the way up until today. And I remember people asking me, like, why are they booing? Like, isn't he the best player? I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't perform when it matters. And then the Yankees do not. Bro, you can hit 111 home runs in the regular season, and if you strike out the first 3 at-bats of the playoff, you're getting booed. Like, or even the first 2. Like, you're getting booed. They don't care what you do in the regular season. It just doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's like, I was a little surprised this year that they were like celebrating hard, like the division champions. They had like the whole champagne and like the American League title and all that stuff. I mean, I was surprised because they're normally like we hang up World Series banners. We don't hang up,
Right.
Yeah, but
no, man. And then on the other side, man, Freddie Freeman. Fucking phenomenal. He's got to be
pressing charges on Freddie Freeman.
we
fuck assaulted
the entire
city of New York, the Yankees thing, bro. I'm gonna just start calling him fucking Harvey Weinstein, but he just fucking took it to the Yankees, bro. Oh my God, man!
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he is the MVP.
I just saw the alert pop up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay.
He just got it. Yeah, he got. I mean,
well deserved.
Yeah,
he might have got it even if the Yankees would have won.
Yeah, it's like if the Yankees even won that World Series, I'd be like, you got to give it to him, bro. The guy yesterday that had the sign that said, it was so subtle, Freddie Freeman, please stop. The greatest fucking sign ever. I'm like, man, that shows. I'm like, bro, you got to. He was just on fire.
Yeah, man. Played really well.
Man. And on one leg, too, because he was fucking limping around the bases, which infuriated me even more. Like, man.
And then, man, like, to me, this World Series was really, they were focused on, like, the 2 stars, right? Ohtani and Judge.
Yeah,
and
didn't show up.
They didn't really, like, Judge did more
right.
than Ohtani. But neither one did what we expected them to do.
Like Dodgers won despite that performance, and the Yankees. I mean, if they won today, Judge obviously first pitch he sent over the fence, and that would have been the conversation. Would have been, he got a base hit later. He had a walk. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get that blunder.
The amazing play in
the outfield. Yeah, and then he followed it up with the fucking
with the error,
which erases everything, bro.
Yeah,
like it's just it's cruel, man. Baseball's It's funny, man, because baseball is like one of those things where you could do everything right.
Yeah.
And you still don't get the result you want. And then there's shit like that where you're just like, man, you did everything wrong and you got what you deserve. It's like, oh, yeah, because it's funny. I'll tell, I coach my son's team, and I'll tell, and they're like, we have kids that are 7 all the way up to like 11. So it ends at about 10. But if you turn 11 after a certain point, you're still on a team. And there are times where I'm like, man, especially like when they hit, like, listen, you could perfect swing, perfect follow through, perfect everything. You hit the ball and you starch one, and it just goes right into some kid's glove who just throws it up in self-defense. And I'm like, it's fucking bad luck. You did everything right, man. And it's just like, it can be unforgiving. And it's like, as you try to stress to them that it's like process over result.
Yeah, bro.
And
that's tough though.
But then today you're looking at these guys and I'm going, man, that was just...
just fundamental stuff.
I've never seen major leaguers that many times. Like, I've seen one, right? Like here and there. Right. You're like, okay, that many blunders in one. I'm still shocked.
That many blunders in one inning.
I can't. It's just, I'm still shocked, man.
Fucking nuts.
Is that a choke? Is that a choke? Is that a taking it for granted in terms of like, I do this all the time, and maybe you're not as locked in because it feels routine? Is that you think you have the game in hand? Is that like what? It's just. I don't know what the explanation for that is. It's just bad luck. Is it the baseball gods? It's just fuck, man.
Well, the baseball gods used to, in the old Yankee Stadium, the ghosts used to come out and be on their side.
Yeah.
Today, that did not happen, bro.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the Yankees did in the last couple of years to piss off the ghosts. Because you're right, man. It used to be the running thing was like, yo, the ghosts about to come out. They're coming out soon, right? Yeah. And then they did come out today, but it was for the wrong team.
Sucks, man.
Maybe the ghosts were former Brooklyn Dodgers, and who made their way down the to the next borough. I don't know, man.
Nah. Well, congrats to the Dodgers, man.
Nah, fuck them.
All right, fuck them.
It's fuck every team that's not here to
Actually, man, it's funny because they were asking, they were interviewing a couple players at the end, and 2020 was that kind of funky season because of COVID. They didn't get their parade, and there's sort of like an asterisk next to their championship. And so for the guys that were on the team then to win now, like this one is like, okay, now what are you gonna say?
Yeah. Right? It's earned. It's definitely earned. I mean, they should have swept. Dude, I would argue that this last decade of Dodgers teams has grossly underachieved up until now.
Right.
I think this gets them now they have two.
They've had a squad for a while.
They've had a stacked team for a very long time, and just couldn't get it done. And he said, think what you want about 2020, they still have it. And then this one, you can't say anything about it, man.
No, definitely not. And they played the best team in the American League this year. So
and then it makes you wonder: did the Yankees just play a watered down American League? Are the Dodgers just that much better? Or
I don't think so, bro. I think Game 1, could have easily been the Yankees, and today could have easily been the Yankees.
Yeah, they just look so overmatched in certain spots in this. Where like in Game 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yeah.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah.
All right, man. Fuck them.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get off this. We're gonna get off this shit. All right. The carbon footprint this week is going to Mr. Tony Hinchcliffe.
Kill Tony.
For those of you who don't know who Tony Hinchcliffe is, he's a stand-up comedian. He has a podcast, right? It's a podcast / show called Kill Tony.
Yep.
He's a really funny individual, but he's more of like a roaster.
Yeah, did great on the Tom Brady roast.
Oh yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, his humor is, making fun of shit that you're not supposed to make fun of.
Right.
That's his shtick.
And so in the last week, Donald Trump had a rally at Madison Square Garden in New York, and Tony Hinchcliffe opened the rally. And Tony Hinchcliffe did what Tony Hinchcliffe does.
Yeah, he did what he does.
And so for those of you who didn't see this, if you're not living under a rock, you've at least seen the Puerto Rico line, right? Where he goes, there's an island in the Caribbean full of trash, and I think
it's a good play on the whole like save the earth shit that's fucking, I guess, that the left tends to lean on.
Yeah.
There is literally a floating pile of garbage in the middle of the ocean, an island. It's huge. And so I think people thought he was going.
Is there really?
Yeah, it's a great misdirection of the
shit,
joke.
I know that.
Well, that's what makes the joke to me.
Yeah.
I get it. Whether or not you find it funny is irrelevant. I get when he's setting it up because that's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
There's a real actual floating pile of garbage in the middle of the ocean that is like from space. If you do a Google Earth or Google Maps vision, it looks like a fucking island.
Yeah.
And it's just trash. And there's one in the Pacific and there's one in the Atlantic. And there's some everywhere, but there's massive ones in the Pacific and in the Atlantic. And yeah, obviously the punchline was that, I think y'all call that. He's like, what's the line? It's like you.
I didn't. There's
a floating island of garbage,
of trash
in the middle of
Puerto Rico.
And he's like, I think we call that Puerto Rico.
Something like that.
What's the joke?
But to go on with that, I mean, he's on there for about, I don't know, it's like 12 minutes or so, and he does that. He makes fun of the Israelis and the Palestinians, and he pokes fun at like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, where he says Hillary Clinton's husband shot innocent people too. We call them interns.
It's a fucking great joke.
It's great, and he goes, I'm sure Hillary Clinton didn't see that coming either. But so, a couple of things, man. I thought, you got to know who this guy is and what kind of jokes he writes. And then who vets out his jokes? No one?
It makes you want. So typically on an event like this, you do have to give your jokes in advance.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then so
maybe they did it because maybe the Trump people were just like, yeah, fuck it. I don't know. All right, man. This is where I'm Puerto Rican. I was born in Puerto Rico. I'm a very proud Puerto Rican. And I am so disappointed in fucking Puerto Ricans today, bro. Like the people who talk the most shit are feigning offense this week because of this joke that he made. I'm like, you fucking Sazón and Goya eating fucking basketball Puerto Rico jersey wearing to the Puerto Rican Day Parade are over here crying about a joke that this guy made. Like I go, you could say it's a bad joke and you don't like the joke and it didn't land, and that's fine. That joke comes from the same place that the good jokes come from, right? It just, those landed and this didn't. So like, I'm always going to be in favor of the joke. It doesn't mean it was funny, right? Obviously it didn't land. But to me, I'm so disappointed watching the fucking, all these Puerto Ricans come out, even like social media, whether it's personal, whatever, like pretending. I'm going to call it pretending to be offended, bro, because I think it's just fucking, it's just political like theater of like, oh my God, I'm so offended. As a proud Puerto Rican, I can't believe you would say this. Like, it's like, first off, Tony Hinchcliffe is not a racist against Puerto Ricans.
No, definitely not.
And if you know anything about Tony Hinchcliffe, this is his thing. If you want to blame someone, you blame whoever the fuck decided to let Tony Hinchcliffe open up a rally. But I also think this goes to the fact that Donald really doesn't want to win. And he goes, how do I hand Kamala, whatever the fuck. Now I sound like Donald. Where he's like, Kamala. Where he just goes like, how do I just send her, give her this win so I can just go away?
Yeah.
And I got it. I let Tony Hinchcliffe open up. He did a great job with Tom Brady roast. Like it's fucking. Whoever, if you want to blame someone or be mad, blame that person, because whoever let him go at a rally and didn't check the jokes, you're fucking stupid. First off, because you knew he was going to do this. He probably single-handedly just won her the election, and then I think the other funny part about this is that you go, if you're vetting the jokes, you go, no jokes on Puerto Rico, because people already think Donald Trump hates Puerto Rico. So I think this adds to this thing, because he's fucking throwing paper towels at Puerto Ricans like he's fucking Steph Curry.
And
right?
But that's why. So I go, you talk about like the outrage from Puerto Ricans. It's like, and I kind of blame social media, because all they do is they put the clip, and first of all, not a lot of people know Tony Hinchcliffe, and I should say not a lot of people.
No, you're right.
Right, if you're not right, so like he's not like he's not a Chris Rock, or what I mean. He's not a well-known or really well-known comedian.
Not yet. He
will be.
Yeah.
Well, he is now.
He is now. Yeah. And which we're giving him exactly what, like, he won this week.
Oh yeah,
everybody's looking him up.
But here's the deal. So you have this guy who a lot of people don't know, and then he's standing in front of a podium that says Trump, And so if you had any inclination, or if you are reading news articles or listening to fucking CNN or MSNBC, or you're just watching social media, you already maybe think that Trump is a racist.
Yeah.
And then now here's this guy at the Trump rally going like, oh, like fuck Puerto Ricans, right? Not necessarily that's not what he said.
Right.
Puerto Ricans are trash.
But again, all we hear, because we're already biased towards whatever side, we're just looking for the clickbait and the thing that proves our argument, right?
Yep,
and
that's
so
right.
And that's what he gave you. It's funny, like while you're saying that, I was that's what you're thought. Like, why you're saying that about him, like sort of standing up there and you see the Trump sign. I think that this, as a voter, right? If you're undecided, what it speaks to the decision making of Trump and maybe the people that he selects, right? Because it's not him, right? He probably puts people in charge.
He's not vetting jokes.
Right. He's not vetting jokes. He's hired people, and now you go, man, the people you hired couldn't get this very, very basic fundamental. Maybe they thought he was gonna add some levity and make it funny, and he's trying to appeal to the younger crowd, because Kill Tony does have a very popular TV show with a very specific demographic, and maybe that's who you're going for. And you're just, I think that demographic was probably going to vote for you anyway. And so it was just, what I would say is, like, while you were talking, I was thinking, oh, that's probably an indicator of like poor decision making on whoever you put in charge, and maybe that's something that turns me off, because
okay.
like you can't.
That makes sense.
I think the thing for me that disappointed me the most was, like, again, the people who talk the most shit, like Puerto Ricans. We just talk the most shit, and we like to bust balls, and we like to get, and then to be offended by, like, I don't know. We came off like whiny ass people this week. I was so disappointed in us.
I don't even think it's a really, like, I didn't see it that way. I kind of just saw it like, you're trying to, like, you already have your base, right? If you're Trump, you already have your base. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get the undecideds. Why would you allow, and I'm not saying he allowed, right? But the person you put in charge of that, like, that person allowed these kind of jokes. That person, whoever that was, should have been like, yo, stay away from any ethnicities. Like, joke, like, if you want to make fun of Puerto Ricans, yo, make fun of AOC.
Right. But like, to your point,
do something about that.
He made fun of blacks, he made fun of Jews, he made fun of, right? Like, the clickbait goes to the Puerto Ricans right now for whatever reason. Like you said, maybe it's because we already think Trump hates Puerto Ricans because of the way he handled Hurricane Maria. All valid criticisms, by the way.
Right.
Like if you want to be mad at Trump about the Puerto Rican thing, like, again, poor decision to let Tony Hinchcliffe open. I'm not going to be mad at Tony Hinchcliffe. Again, I'm always going to decide on the side of the joke. And I think for me is I always go to the joke that offended you, the joke that you didn't think was funny, the joke that you thought was whatever, came from the same place as the joke that would have made you laugh from the same person. There's just some land and some.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm never going to be mad at someone for the attempt. But if you want to be mad at him, be mad at the billions he withheld, like in aid to Puerto Rico, like post Maria. Be mad at fucking going down during Maria and like mocking people there, basically. Be mad at, like, him not taking a lot of sort of like funding and rights away, like throughout his presidency to Puerto Rico that would have helped sort of. And again, I think that's an oversimplification of it as well, is that I also think being in Trump's shoes and having been in Puerto Rico in the last 5 years, I also drove through Puerto Rico infuriated at how they spend their money and feeling like maybe that the people in charge there didn't deserve the money, and you should look for a way to maybe create real change within the leadership of Puerto Rico. And you can make that argument. I don't know that that's Trump's argument. I just know that he didn't want to give the money because he thought, like, fuck it, they're going to blow it anyway and it's corrupt. And I would say that I don't know that he's necessarily wrong. I drove through Puerto Rico 4 years ago, and I vividly remember hitting a pothole on a highway. Like, it would be like hitting a pothole on I-95, and just furious. And it wasn't the first one; they were everywhere. And I remember driving from town to town, and I did a couple hours of driving. And I remember thinking, and at one point in time, I saw a sign up for someone running for local mayor. And I remember starting to Google what it would take for me to run for like a local office in Puerto Rico while I was there, because I was so fucking mad at the infrastructure, and then at the employment rate, and then and I went, bro, you guys have jobs here just fixing this fucking dump that you've let go to shit. Like, I remember driving through towns that were still destroyed by Maria, and houses that were still fucked up, and cars that had still been abandoned and overgrown with trees and whatever, like, and grass and whatever. Like, just seeing shit there that I'm like, man, someone needs to fix this, and clearly the local politicians didn't do anything about it. So, like, if you want to be mad at shit, like, to me,
Like,
be mad at that.
There's shit to be mad at.
There's shit to be mad at that's legit.
Not the joke.
Not the fucking comedian who is looking for that reaction. He wants you to be mad. He wants you to
I just think that people don't know that.
I think people don't know that, but that's their... Bro, I think I don't know, man. This is an IQ thing or whatever it is. I don't know how anyone looks at any political commercial, right, left or right, and doesn't go, this is fucking like
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Right. They're so far fetched and so like you pick the worst of the other candidate, right, in sound bites, and then you play it, and then people get so riled up over this, right? Like you obviously do it because it works. And it just shocks me that it works over.
It works over and over, bro.
And over because it's so obviously an over sort of like it's a caricature of the other person's like flaws or whatever it is, or things that you disagree with, or sometimes flat out lies. And I find it almost embarrassing that more people fall for that as a country.
Right, that they just believe it.
Like I'm embarrassed for like humans. Like whenever I watch political commercials on either side, because I'm like, wow, people fall for this. Like, and it sways them. And because obviously they wouldn't spend millions of dollars doing these commercials if they didn't. And then I look at the posts of people that we know, like you and I both know people on social media who create posts or they share things and all that. And I go, man, did that person get hit by a dump truck when they were a child? Were they deprived of oxygen for a short period of time? Are they just slow? It just shocks me that people fall for this shit. Like, it's really weird, man.
Yeah, and you know what? When I first saw it, it was because somebody in my family had sort of reposted it, and then my son saw it, and he goes, "Hey, did you see this?" And I saw the clip, and I saw it's Tony Hinchcliffe, and of course it's just a clip about Puerto Rico, and I go, "That guy's not racist."
Yeah. The amount of people who sent me the same thing. Oh my God, did you see this?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's Tony Hinchcliffe. I go, that's what he does. He's a fucking roaster.
Yeah.
Like, whether it was a bad choice to have him in there, I go, but that guy's not racist.
No. Dude, I saw Tony Hinchcliffe open up for Joe Rogan here right after the pandemic. And it was the same week-ish or so, or around the time that we lost. Remember the condo here that fell in South Florida? The building collapsed? Yeah. And it had happened like just recently.
Okay.
And he fucking goes in on a joke about the condo collapsing and whatever, and everyone just starts going, oh, and he makes a comment about like, oh, don't you guys get fucking sensitive on me now?
Right.
At that time, Tony Hinchcliffe was wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, and he was leaning into the racist thing because he had made fun of another group then, and they were like, oh, Tony Hinchcliffe is racist. He sort of like leaned into it on design. Right. So he was walking around and literally cowboy hat and cowboy boots with the spurs, and he was making that joke. And I remember him going up, dude, and people went, and the guys around me started getting up to go get drinks or something like that. And I remember telling the guy next to me, when they announced Tony Hinchcliffe, I went, yo, you don't want to leave. And he was like, wait, I just don't know who this is. Like, and like somebody else had opened before him. And then, and I'm like, no, he's going to murder. And then like the guy stayed and he like sent his girl to go get them drinks or whatever. And then Tony fucking murders. But he does that joke about the building collapse, and he does a bunch of other like really offensive quote unquote jokes.
Yeah. But that's like, what they are.
That's what he does. That's what he does. He's looking to get the reaction. He's going, what am I not supposed to make fun of? And he makes fun of that, right? Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. Whatever. If depending on who you are. And I remember that dude looking at me going, thanks, bro. Because he just fucking, murdered, bro. Just amazing. 20 minutes of fire.
He's great, bro. So with this, I would have liked to, because I hate, the sort of the misconceptions about it. I would have liked to see him or somebody to tell him, yo, don't do that. Gear it towards all political. So even the crowd at MSG didn't really like those jokes.
Well, it's fucking New York City in Madison Square Garden. It's full of Puerto Ricans, bro.
So, but when he talked about like, Bill and Hillary Clinton, they like that. When he mentioned the fact that like Taylor Swift and so and so, he mentioned like 3 names, and he goes, "It's more like a Diddy party than like a Democratic fucking supporter, right?" So those political jokes.
Yeah, the Puerto Rican jokes in the South, they might laugh a little more, right? Like in Iowa, they'd never heard of a Puerto Rican, so they wouldn't get it, right?
They'd be like, "Are those the Mexicans?"
They'd be like, "These Mexicans?" Yeah, we'd be like, "Yes, they're East Coast Mexicans with less work ethic." But like in New York, it's like not the place to make fun of Puerto Ricans. Yeah. I just still go back to whoever made the decision. You know what you're getting with Tony Hinchcliffe. You know what kind of jokes he's gonna make. You should have said, "Hey, bro, stay away from fucking abortion. Stay away from." But maybe if you're Tony Hinchcliffe, and you listen, he's at a stage in his career where he has to take gigs like this just to get his name out there. But he also may be able to afford to turn this down, right? Like, you don't have to take this if you're, say, Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle, right? Obviously,
correct.
If you're Tony Hinchcliffe and they offer you this and they go, "But we have some restrictions," you're like, well, let's see what they are first. You know, right? And then you throw out the wildest shit and see what they take out.
And they're like, nothing.
Right. And he's like, really?
I'm in.
And if you're him, you're like, fuck it. I don't care who wins. I just want to get my name out there because we're talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. So he won. I'm sure his Google search has gone up. Whether you like him or not, or you think he's a racist or whatever the fuck your stick is, he's on tour right now, and I think there's a stop in Vegas happening this week. Guess who's never heard of a Puerto Rican? People in Vegas. So they're going to the show. And then I think he does stops in Madison Square Garden at some point in time. I'm pretty sure that he's doing Kill Tony, like as a traveling Kill Tony show.
I wish I would have looked at the Kill Tony like Instagram page before and after.
I bet you we can find that.
I would love to see that. But
I guarantee you the following's gone up. It's all in the South, but I guarantee you it went up. There's a lot of people going, yeah, fuck them Ricans who've never even seen one.
But dude, to your point of like maybe Donald doesn't really want to win this election.
Donald doesn't want to win this election.
He does another rally today in Wisconsin. And he brings out Brett Favre. Which I'm going like, yeah, I guess, hero like Green Bay Packer, but he did just steal fucking welfare money to do some other shit, right? To build a fucking, I don't know, volleyball court or some shit. Right? Didn't he fucking steal some?
Yeah, he stole money from like some kind of welfare money or some shit like that. I don't know. He stole something.
But I'm just like, man, you are fucking picking the winners. Oh bro, yeah, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, Trump doesn't want to win, bro. The next person
either that or he's going. It doesn't matter.
Nah, the next one, bro, is gonna be a dual speech with Cosby and Harvey Weinstein. They're gonna give a talk at a fucking Planned Parenthood conference. It's gonna be amazing. Donald doesn't want to win, bro. Donald's sick of this shit, bro. He ain't got 4 years of doing this in him. He's pushing 80, man. I don't think he wants to win this, bro. He's like deliberately at this point picking. He's like, whose podcast could I go on to just blow this and just fuck
he
around?
was just on Rogan too, man.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the Rogan one, and I saw it was 3 hours. So I was excited because I like when you get that much time with a candidate because I feel like you get real.
Yeah, they do. It's a conversation. I haven't finished it. I did listen to most of it. The only thing that turns me off about him is like everything is fucking phenomenal.
Besides everything.
Yeah, everything is fucking everything I do is phenomenal. Everything the other person does.
Well, he only speaks in adjectives, right? So, and it's like the most over-exaggerated adjectives ever. Yeah. He doesn't know any like nouns or everything is like the fucking most over-exaggerated version. And he loves himself like so much. Like I wish I had like 4% of that guy's self-esteem. Like, good for him.
You said that about Tony Hinchcliffe. About like turning down, maybe not being able to turn down whatever money.
Yeah, or not even money, bro. It's like the notoriety, the views. Yeah. I can't listen. None of us are. I don't give a fuck. It's Chappelle is right. Fucking certain comics are, but you're not.
But to that point, and I don't know what money he got offered for that. But 50 Cent was recently interviewed on a Breakfast Club, and he said they offered him $3 million to perform at that rally.
Really?
And he turned it down. He turned it down, and he said he also turned down money to perform at the RNC. And he said this, man, and I quote, he goes, "I'm afraid of politics. No matter how you feel, someone passionately disagrees with you." And he's like, that fucks with my pockets.
I mean, it's smart. Dude, but how great would it have been if he performed Many Men?
Many Men.
From, no. But you do Many Men from the perspective of a fetus? Right after somebody talks about overturning Roe v. Wade. would have been fantastic, bro.
Or as he's doing it, do a video with fetus and fucking abortion clinics, and then show Donald Trump getting shot.
Like a mashup. I don't know. $3 million is light work to turn down. I think if you're 50.
No, but if similar money was offered to him.
Oh, Tony, you're taking that. Yeah.
He's taking that.
Yeah. I don't think they all did, but
no, maybe not. Right.
They offered him $100K. He's taking it to do that shit. And actually,
he's like 12 minutes. Let me do the math.
Yep. I don't even think it's the money. I think it's even you calculate the money you're making after getting on a stage like that because everyone's just talking about him for a week. Even if people are hating him, it still helps his brand. His brand is being hated, right? Like I don't think he wants to, but his brand is he's that comedian of like he's looking for the shock factor. He's trying to find humor in the shit that's not supposed to be humorous.
Yeah.
And so like and again, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's what he does. And so if you're him, he stayed true to himself during that. So I'll give him credit for that, man. Like, and I like Tony Hinchcliffe, man. Like full disclosure.
So do I.
I love Tony Hinchcliffe. I love Kill Tony. I love his joke. I didn't think anything was wrong with I go like whether or not you like the joke, it was a joke. Like to me, it's just like what. So I see people going like, "Oh, there's not something to joke about." It's like, no one's the judge of that, bro.
It is. I think it was in poor taste at a political rally.
I think it's a poor taste at a political rally. Like everything, all the other factors aside that don't involve Tony, right? I go, whoever decided to do that, whoever decided to let him do that, whoever decided that, again, you already know what the reputation is against Puerto Rico. All the other factors, I think, were wrong in that. So whoever made that decision should be crucified. I'm like, Tony did Tony. Tony was him. He was the realest dude in that whole fucking equation. Yeah, So I'm disappointed in my people because we talk a lot of shit.
Yep.
And then we're sitting here being offended this whole week. I'm like, wow, man, like y'all fucking soft. It just really shocked me from people who are normally just fucking giving it to people and then to be offended by some shit like that. Like he didn't even really say anything crazy. He called us garbage, and I'm like, sometimes we are.
Aren't we all?
Are we? It's like, all right.
Yo, fucking all right. So I mean, we gave it to him because I really feel like this is shit like this will sway an election.
Oh yeah. I don't think you're wrong.
So with that,
however, it didn't change my. Well, I shouldn't say that. It didn't change my feeling on who I thought was going to win. I did have mixed emotions the last week or two.
Yep.
And then I'm back to thinking what I thought before that this week.
Which is?
I think Kamala wins by a landslide. And that's not an endorsement of Kamala. I just think...
Landslide, bro?
Yeah, landslide. I think it's historically, like, she runs away. I'm thinking Barack, too, against Martin. Like, and here's why. Again, this is an endorsement of Kamala. I think the thing is that you either love or hate Donald Trump. And and for Kamala... Like she doesn't. No one loves her. No one hates her either, right? And so I think what happens is that we kind of like the way we've been treating each other over the last 4 years, whether we like it or not. And I think people remember what it was like during a Trump presidency and how we were sort of at each other's throats the whole time. And say what you will about Joe Biden, the last 4 years, politics has been boring. And it's been quiet, and we've gone back to liking each other and high-fiving each other and not just cursing at each other all the time and being mad, and the political discourse all over Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff's pretty much gone away up until the election season now.
Right.
I think we like that, and we secretly like want to go back to that. But I think more importantly is that Trump isn't going to get people to show up to vote for him the way he has in the past. And I think that's what's going to be the difference is 18 to 29-year-old males who are going to vote for Trump don't vote. So they're not going to show up. Like they'll vote. Like these polls are like, some dude who gets to click a box online.
Oh, they're not going to the polls are shit.
Yeah, they're shit. And then I think that people who are undecided are going to go there and go, I don't really hate Kamala. I don't like her, but I don't hate her. She doesn't make me feel any type of way. Whereas Trump makes you feel something, right? And so
dude, for me, I don't even disagree with a lot of his policies. It's his mouth.
Yeah, it's his personality. It's his disposition. It's his leadership. It's his everything.
And then if you go,
he's not presidential, right? Yeah,
that's it. And if you go, I'm hiring somebody to sort of run a company. Again, not looking at their sort of
political affiliation,
right? You just go, this person like Kamala seems to represent the people better.
Yeah, right? None of them are wearing the color of whatever their party is, and they just stand in front of a room. You go, who commands the room more? As far as like an intellectual goes, it's her, right? Like there's not. I don't think that's debatable if you're being honest with yourself, right? Like I think if you saw those two individuals speak, and you went and you're looking at it holistically again through a lens that isn't like swayed in either direction, right. You would go, yeah, that person looks more like a leader and sounds more like a leader and comes off more like a leader than the other person. Now, I think the problem is that the people who hear this, depending on where you fall, right. is you feel so intense about your side, right? Like you're gonna be like, I fucking hate Kamala, right? And you don't even know why you hate her. You hate her because she's wearing the wrong colors. You're a hater because she's wearing a blue fucking tie or pin or whatever the fuck she wears because she's a girl, and then you hate Donald because he's wearing the red or whatever represents. And then to be fair, Donald Trump has created hate for himself outside of being a Republican. He's created hate at himself because of his personality and his disposition. And I think we tend to hate wealthy people in general, so he has that, like
right. Now for me, man, I think I don't think it's gonna be a landslide, man. I think it's gonna be close. I think there's a lot of
like Biden close, like where it took days to decide, weeks, or do you think Hillary Trump where it took till the next morning to?
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't. It's not one of these where the recounts and all that shit, man. I hope by the time it's the next morning by. What is it? Is it the 6th?
Yeah.
Is the 6th?
We'll know by midnight on Tuesday, man.
So I'm hoping by the time I go to bed on Tuesday night, I know who the president's going to be. But I do think it's going to be close. I think that no matter what, he has proven that really, like, no matter what he says, no matter who shows up at his rallies or whatever, there is a big enough group of people that support him. I'm not voting for either one of them. So you can say that I'm throwing my vote away if you want to.
You ain't have to write.
I don't give a.
I appreciate you.
No, I'm writing in the column from the podcast, bro.
Let's fucking go.
We're gonna get one. Gonna get one vote at least.
Let's go.
Yeah. So
we killing all the babies.
We'll see.
Live ones too. It's getting crowded. Yeah, I do. The only presidential election I've gotten wrong was Trump's first one.
Because Hillary kind of should have won it.
She should have, and I feel like she gave that one away. And I've been pretty close on all the other ones, even like as far as like margin goes. Yeah, I think we'll know by midnight Tuesday. I think she runs away with this one, man. Yeah. I feel, and now I've started to get swayed a little bit when I thought Trump was making really smart decisions as far as like, obviously, we talked about the flagrant thing here and then some of the other, and I went, wow, he's got some momentum going in the right direction. And maybe some of these undecideds are going like, hey, like I do that. I think it's not just the Tony Hinchcliffe thing, but I do think that momentum has sort of started to fizzle out. I also go, I think Charlamagne's right. I don't think Trump really wants to win. I really believe that, man.
Dude, I'm starting to go. It's one of those things where you hear it and then you go, no, that's not true.
It sounds preposterous, but then he doesn't want to win.
The more that I see, the more that I hear, I'm like, man, is that right? Like, is he purposely trying to jeopardize himself?
Think about what is the last soundbite you have of Trump at a rally that went viral? None. This election cycle. None. That's never, bro. Trump, at a minimum, you can count on you getting the soundbite. You can count on you getting the funny. You can count on you. He doesn't even have a viral. The things that have gone viral for Trump is him getting shot, right? Is the Tony Hinchcliffe thing. It's the Hulk Hogan fucking at the RNC. It's like
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. It's everything around him. It's never him. And normally he's the star of the show, and he doesn't like sharing the fucking stage, right? Like he wants to be the center of attention. He wants to do that stuff. He's the guy. He doesn't have a single moment in this last like 6 months on the campaign trail where you're like, oh, that's a memorable Trump moment. Like nothing has gone viral. He hasn't even said anything dumb. Like he just exists right now, which he can't win by just existing. He has to win by being him. Which is give us the sound bites, give us the outlandish shit, give us the, like, he's just there. I just I
don't know, man. We're gonna see.
We're about to find out. By the time y'all hear this podcast, it'll be probably a day or two before. Before.
So the next podcast, we will have a new president.
Yeah. So when y'all hear this, drop in our social and tell us what y'all think. And again, I think the opinion isn't an endorsement of either candidate. It's just
no, I don't care.
Just what I think is gonna happen. Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Listen, I've always said this, and I stand by it. I have been voting since 1992. And no matter who has been in office, my life has progressively gotten better.
Yeah.
There's been things. So, dude, not for nothing. When Trump was in office, you know what? He increased the standard deduction. So doing my taxes became easier when he was in there, right?
Yep.
So, but whatever for that. But my life has progressively gotten better, regardless of who has been been in office. And I expect that to continue.
Dude, I think the first election I was able to vote in was Bush's second term.
Okay.
And then after that was Barack. Obviously. So I'm trying to think if I voted for Kerry or Bush. I can't remember. But yeah, I can't remember. I do remember there was a lot of empathy towards George Bush post 9/11, and we didn't necessarily hate him, and we almost like felt bad. And because he's got such a, like the whole 9/11 and then like all the war, the stuff in Fallujah and Iraq and all that stuff that popped off. I do remember us like as a country not being as divided during that election.
No, definitely not, man.
Yeah. But I think that had a lot to do with it. I for some reason I feel like I voted for. I can't even remember. But that was the first election I could vote in.
Dude, I voted for Clinton twice, Bush twice, Obama twice.
Okay.
I think I voted for Hillary. I don't even remember.
I think I voted for Obama.
I'm pretty sure I voted for Hillary.
I voted for Obama.
And then this time I'm doing it right in. Fuck him.
Yeah. Let's fucking go. Fucking every Yankee player should write in Freddie Freeman. Yeah,
just to get him off the Dodgers.
Just to get him off the fucking. So y'all don't have to face him. Because goddamn.
Freddie for president.
Freddie living in my head rent free this whole podcast.
All right, dude. Yo, talk to me about this dad group in New York.
Yo, dude, this guy, man, I thought this was cool as fuck, bro. There's this guy in New York that he started a dad group. To support, it was like basically a group to connect and share and like uplift each other as dads. I think of the guy's name. His name is Joe Gonzalez, and he's a dad in New York. And I guess he realized there's like a lot of mom groups, and you hear like they meet at parks and they do stuff, and they might go to like
because they got time and shit.
Yeah, because they don't work and whatever, and so. And so like there's a lot of that. So like I guess what he was saying, it was like because of his age, I feel like he was early 30s or late 20s. He's like, it's harder to make friends if you have a kid and you have a full-time job and you're married and all that. It's even harder, right? Like, unless you already have this established group of friends. And then he's like, and being a dad is tough depending on sort of what your upbringing was and whatever. And so he created like a Facebook group, and then they started meeting like I think it was once a month, once a quarter, and then now it became once a month. And then he's like it's gradually gotten more and more frequent, but it's like a group of dads, and they just meet at different things like the parks with the kids. They'll meet at like sporting things that they could do together, like pickleball or whatever. And it's taken off, and it's like a shit ton of people now that show up to these groups.
Really? Did it say how many was in the group?
It didn't say. Maybe there was like a full blown article, but he it just says that it's taken off. And it's just all new dads who show up, and it's like a picture of a bunch of dads holding their babies in shoulders. And I love that shit, man. It's cool. Like cool. Do you and I talk a lot?
I was gonna say, dads in New York, is it like an oxymoron?
Yeah, it is, because like most of them are. Those are the guys that just live in New York for the moment.
And they move to the burbs.
But dude, I think like. Man, it's a cool ass idea, because as guys, we don't really look for connection like that in general. So like, I would have been like, I ain't doing that. Ain't nobody showing up to that, right? Like, because we don't generally like try to go to things like that. But I thought it was cool that he tried to change it, because like to me, I go, you and I would talk a lot about like like being dads, right? Like whether like things we're proud of with our kids, maybe like challenges we have, maybe things that are frustrated or whatever. Like, but I don't know that a lot of guys really have those conversations. And then, because I know a lot of moms will, or they feel like, hey, I'm not momming enough, or I'm not, whatever. I don't think we have the same kind of like pressure, I guess.
No, man, because typically we're like providers and protectors.
Right. And so we don't have that pressure that moms have.
Right.
Whereas like a mom, if your kid shows up to school disheveled, it's like they're going to criticize the mom. They're never going to go, I can't believe the dad let him show up to school like that, or let him show up to school like that, right? And so I think it's just like as a society, it just hasn't been something that has pushed. But I will say, like, for me, it's important to like, and I'm like a work in progress in this, but like I didn't have like the blueprint of like how to be a good dad, right? And so all I had was like people that I know, right? I have you, I have like uncles, I have like stuff, and then like I see what didn't work, I saw what did work, I saw like, and then like I think it's a good way to bounce ideas off other guys, and then if you can get them to show up. But the fact that he's gotten this many show up, because again, as guys, it's not something we're looking to do. Like we want the total opposite of that, right? Like we don't want to talk about what is like, we don't want to share with other dudes about shit like that. We like, bro, are y'all watching the game or not? like what do you mean talking about kids?
You going to the park?
Yeah.
No, bro, it's Sunday.
It's Sunday. Do you know the Giants are playing? Like that would be our thing. So I thought it was cool for that guy to put that together and get that movement going.
It's very cool, bro. You and I always talk about like, this is, what we do here is like it's our outlet, it's our therapy session, right? It's kind of like how we kind of get things off our chest, and then for those of you who don't know, it's like, there's several hours before we record that we're talking and sharing things that happen throughout the week, and whether it's work related or kids related or relationship related, right? So like we talk
90% of it can't make it onto the bottom.
Yeah, right. But we talk about that stuff, and a lot of it is not necessarily. Sometimes you get advice, right? But then a lot of it, sometimes you just want to get this shit off your chest.
Yeah, you just like, hey man, I would never say this out loud to another human being. Right. But guess what happened to me this week?
But I wanted to kill my kid yesterday.
Yeah.
Do you know that motherfucker balled his fist up at me?
It's so true, man. There's some shit. The amount of times we started a sentence going, I would never tell anybody else this, but the amount of times I've said that to you.
Dude, there was one time, man, I had called, this is years and years ago, man, I had called another friend of mine, and I'm like, and I was just like, it was one of those mornings where I just had a horrible night and whatever, and I called them and I told them some off the wall shit. And he let me vent, and then his first response was, "You didn't tell nobody else, that's right."
Spoken like a true dude, bro.
And I was like, "No, man, that's why I called you." And he goes, "Okay, good."
You didn't. It's fucking us, bro. The guys would just be like, "Yo, man."
Sometimes you just gotta fucking, we all do it, man.
We all think fucked up and we're afraid to say it out loud.
Absolutely, bro. We all think fucked up stuff. But it's like, the thing that makes us sane versus insane people is we think it, but it's not on the menu to actually do.
I also build a better connection with people like that, man. Like, to me, if you're like guy or girl, if you tell me some wild shit and you're like, I know I'm gonna sound like a terrible human being, the minute you start a sentence with that, I'm like, let's fucking go. I like you already. Just be authentic. And like you said, you're not acting on it, so it doesn't make you a shitty. Like we all think the most horrendous. I think, bro, I truly believe this in life is that you don't know anybody. You just don't know anyone. Like I will stand firm on that. Is like, you don't know anybody. I have never met anyone in my life that I didn't think was capable of horrible shit.
Yep.
Like and capable of good shit. Like I think on both sides of the spectrum.
No, and we all are, right? It's just that like, how much self-control do we exercise, right? And a lot of us exercise a lot of self-control, which is good. It's good for humanity.
It's good for humanity. Yeah. It's the whole point of having free will and all that stuff, right? And so like, I don't know, man. I love the authenticity of thinking something fucked up and then being able to reel it in, because you go, I know I'm not supposed to kill him.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like, I respect it. I respect it.
Yeah, man. I had recently a family member of mine having like issues with with one of their kids, and it's one of those where you're listening to the story and you're going, man, I would have did, in your own head, going like, man, I would have fucked that kid up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but it's good. It's good. It's good to vent, and then B to know that we all think basically the same stuff, and go through the same things, and we gotta be there to support each other, man.
Dude, I think it's my kids will occasionally say some shit where I go, that's gonna sound fucked up if you ever say it outside of this house, but also you're listening, you know what I mean? And they'll say shit like all the time to someone, like in response to something where they'll be like, oh, like, I don't know, whatever, maybe their friend does something fucked up or they see something fucked up, and someone might be like, oh, like, so-and-so did this, and they'll go like, man, no one would find my body if I did, and I've never laid hands on my kids. But they'll just look over like, yeah, like my parents don't play that shit, like, and without ever having to do anything. And it's like, I've never withheld, like, I've never done the thing with my kids where I pretend to be a better human than I am.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was really important to me for them to see, like, I'm not perfect. Like, I want you to see me fuck up because you're gonna. And so I take more pride in like, hey, here's my fuck up and here's what I did about it, or not. And then you learn from that, right? Like, maybe I handled it atrociously, and I do all the time, right? So like, I never wanted them to see me as like this perfect human being. And so it's hilarious to me when, like, whenever they'll make comments like, my dad, whether it's like dropping F-bombs or whatever, or like, even my daughter used to make jokes with like her after school people where they would be like, oh, like, say pickup time was like 6 and it'd be like 5:30. Like, start cleaning up. My daughter all the time, they would tell me, she'd be like, bro, he ain't gonna be here till way past 6. He got time. And I was like, I love it. They know me so well. But they always knew like the authentic, like they never questioned like love for them. It was just like, you're just you. It's like, you always have been. And I'm like, yeah, I try to be sometimes to a fault.
Yeah, man. And I'll tell my kids are old enough now, man, where like, when they get on my nerves, like I'll tell them like, dude, I don't even want to see you right now. Like, I need a little break, or you're being really annoying right now, or whatever. Like, and I'm kind of careful of
which one you talk like that to.
Not only that, but also going, like, if I say something sideways, going back later and going like, yo, man, even though I was feeling that way, like, for real, I don't feel that way about you.
In general.
In general,
it's just,
right?
It's just a bad day.
Yeah, right, today. And then I'll explain, like, man, this thing happened at work, or this thing happened with me and your mom, or I'm really fucking tired, I got 3 hours sleep, or whatever it is, right? And you just go like, hey, man, like, I'm not perfect. Kind of like what you said earlier. I'm not perfect. I'm human. I make mistakes. And what I said to you earlier was kind of sideways. So, like, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. The amount of times I've used, like, that was fucked up. So my kids,
like, man, that was a little,
all right.
It's a little harsh. I apologize.
Oh, man.
That's awesome, man. How we doing on time, bro?
Dude, we're over an hour already because the fucking Dodgers took the whole time. We weren't planning on having to have a therapy session about the Dodgers starching the Yankees, or the Yankees just choking.
Well, dude, let's finish it off with a carbon footprint that I just want to hear about this.
Okay.
The woman with the terminal breast cancer.
Oh, dude, I want to get the name of the organization, so let me pull it up. So this woman had stage 4. So just a mom from Arizona.
Okay.
She had stage 4 terminal cancer, and her name is Tammy Morrow. She's 55.
Okay.
She was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer in December of 2023.
Stage 4 is death sentence, right?
You're done. It's terminal, usually like very low percentage of surviving.
Yep.
She had, initially she thought she had a stomach bug, whatever, and turned out she had breast cancer. Traditional chemotherapy led to like the severe hair loss, and then the doctors gave her months to live. They said, just nothing else we could do. Like, just make you comfortable and like, let's go. So she started seeking alternative treatments, and it led her to this place called Envita Medical Center's genetically targeted fractionated chemotherapy in Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's a fucking mouthful.
It's a long thing. but GTFC is their thing. They call it GTFC.
No pun intended.
So they improved her condition significantly, changing her diagnosis from terminally ill to normal within 21 weeks. So you're talking about 5 months.
What kind of treatment?
So it's like a specifically targeted chemotherapy that uses genetics, like genetic modifications and stuff, and it literally just targets that specific gene, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's super aggressive. It's experimental. I don't think it's like widely available. But dude, in 21 weeks, she went from
stage 4
to 0 traces of the disease. She has no evidence of disease at all now in 21 weeks, and went from now. Hopefully, this is December of 2023. So obviously, there's time, cancer, stuff.
Yep.
But it's something to keep an eye out. Like
absolutely, bro.
That's insane, bro.
That's fucking nuts. So you just brought back a memory of I don't know if it was the last game, like game 4 of the Yankees Dodgers. In the 7th inning stretch, they did this thing where it was sponsored by MasterCard, and everybody kind of has this placard, and it's like I stand for, and you fill in the name, and it's for people with cancer. Everybody in the fucking stadium had a placard up. So it's like we all know somebody with cancer. It's insane. Or we know somebody who had it and possibly either survived it or passed from it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, here's a disease, man, that we can't get a fucking hold on. And so for something like this, again, she may be an anomaly. I don't know.
Right.
But it's hopeful.
Yeah, it's hopeful. It's we make progress all the time. We talk a lot on this pod, especially about like medical breakthroughs and that sort of thing. So like and some of them end up busting later on, but they each get you closer to the answer, right? And so something, I think that's all you need is like hope and the answer. And what it does is, I think people don't really think about what it takes to do stuff like this. Like we think about, there's obviously, we could have fucking a podcast, a documentary, where we spend days on pharmaceutical and whatever. But like the other part of this is that a lot of these doctors and these research facilities are all that need funding to do this stuff. And when you're sort of doing research, you don't have a product to sell, and so you're not generating any revenue, and so you're operating off grants, you're operating off donations, you're operating off sort of people's goodwill to help you. That's why we do these fundraisers for breast cancer. We do fundraisers and stuff. It's like, because these people are working at a job that doesn't generate any money right now. It just spends because they're trying to find a cure. They're not providing one, right? And so I think what something like this does at a minimum is it gives you first off, you're in the right direction, right? I think from a technical perspective, and as you're working on that, and then as you're fundraising and you're working on all this other stuff, it gives you sort of proof of concept or just a story to tell, to go, by the way, we have this woman and she's on this, and whatever, and like, look at her now. If we could only get additional funding, you could see, and even if it fails, they go, hey, but for X amount of weeks, it helped. And so clearly there's some tweaking. We're closer, and I think that's an easier story to sell when you're looking for dollars to sort of fund your research and support these projects. And I think that's equally as important with these things. It's why we have whole months dedicated to things like breast cancer and so because it works. Because I think getting in people's faces, because fundraising is so much of this stuff, is having the money to do it. Because if the big pharma is not doing it, because the argument is, hey, there's more money in treating it, then the money in curing it has to come from somewhere, right? And so it's the research labs that we fund, basically.
And listen, man, as humans, the worst place to operate from is despair, and something like this gives us hope.
Yeah, but while we close out, man, you want to go into the NFL stuff? Nah. Just let's close it out with saving the biddies.
We're saving the biddies. On that, tell them where they can find us. Saving the biddies.
I'll say
you can find us saving the biddies.
I was gonna say some wild shit, but we'll just say saving the biddies. At the Carbon Football Podcast on IG, the Carbon Football Podcast on Facebook, at Carbon Football Podcast on YouTube, at Carbon FE Pod on X, at Carbon Football Podcast on TikTok, and then anywhere else where you listen to your podcast. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Stitcher, JioSaavn, Ghana, TuneIn, RadioCast, Pocket Cast, all of it. Just go find us. Talk to your smart device, tell it to play the Carbon Football Podcast, and it will. Yeah, and make sure you guys leave us a review on Apple and Spotify if that's where your preferred listening platforms.
That's it. And as always, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.